Lives. We have Kathy Madigan on. Hi, how are you, Kathy?
I am fantastic.
Kathy is dedicated her life to making a difference in the world. We love people like you. You're mother of 3 champion athlete children. Wow. For a foster mom to 2 additional children, numerous
Yep.
rescue animals. Can I move in?
I used to have a shirt saying Madigans, we are our own role models, because that's what everybody used to say when they'd meet me. They'd be, can I be your kid?
God darn. Jeepers, what are you cooking tonight? No. All right, so you cook in quantity?
You laugh, but I have a few houses, and I have one of my son's friends who had a hard time getting into university. It's difficult with COVID and everything else, so she lives in my house in the city.
Well, what do you think of that? This is really, boy, I'm going to be nice to you in this conversation, just in case. You just never know where life's going to bring you, right?
You do not. And that's kind of my philosophy. So you might as well be nice while you're doing it.
I'm going to take a slice of it. I think a slice of niceness. But you actually wrote a book, Slice of Emotion. And you literally, if I understand this right, came out of a corporate world. Were you a corporate person? Yes, no, maybe?
I still am.
Oh.
a corporate executive. Yes. So I have been, I've built banks, built technology. Right now I'm working to build a large technology for a stock exchange company. But yes, I have been thought of as, one of the big call center people and IT techies. And one of the keys to my success has always been compassion. I talk to people about how their day is going. So I don't just talk to them. I could be talking VPN tunnels one minute, like last week I was installing a VPN tunnel, and then I was like, okay, how big is the book for Lucy? What do kids' size want to see? So
okay.
My passion for these books is not for my career choice, but for reaching more people.
All right.
Yeah, and just building that, what I've had to build over the years, giving people who might not have a voice or might not have the money, the opportunity to, really have a relationship with their kids through books, but also to help themselves at the same time. And these are just things that I lived.
Compassion's a very, very big word, no doubt about it. Or the words are words, but the actual act of being compassionate is a very, very selfless, I would say. I'm going to use that word, selfless, way of existence. Well, are you Buddhist? Buddhist,
I am not.
Compassion word.
I'm a very spiritual person. I've studied those sorts of things. I kind of say that I'm my own person. God put me, whatever God you believe in or other power, he put me on this earth to serve people in a very different way. He kind of has conversations with me and I kind of listen. So from the time I was very young, I had a very rough life. I was in the foster care system till I was 5, didn't have any permanent home, and then was adopted into a very abusive family, left home and started my first company at 17 and have not looked back. And have been helping people ever since. People have come across my path when I was young. They still come across my path, and books were a way, especially children. I think that children and animals are the most authentic creatures on this that walk this earth. And so children come to me and will tell me almost everything or anything. And the same with animals. It's like I can talk to animals as well, and I can feel when they're in pain or when they need help. And the guy upstairs or whatever brings them to me to get them through, because I've gotten through a lot of challenges and I'm still here. So, I'm still standing.
And we're thankful you are. You put this book together with a couple other people, it sounds like here. Adam, I saw the name, and Jodie.
Yeah, so Adam and Jodie, I have always wanted to do something different, either be on stage. I do some public speaking when I'm in the business world. I oftentimes will just have meetings with people just to talk about humanity. How was your day? What's really upsetting you? So talk about feelings with my business partners as well. And so I met Adam and Jodie because they were wanting to get into writing books. And it was just, again, by coincidence. And I said, would you like to help me invest in this, in this brainchild of mine? So that's what we've done. They helped me out with some of the logistics and the marketing and all the rest of it. And I'm kind of the face of it because it was my, I'm the one with the psychology background and all of the credentials that go along with how in the heck did we get to this point?
Well, how did we get to this point? So how do we get to understanding, and how did you write a book for young people about emotions? Emotions are very, what the heck does even emotions mean? What does that mean?
So emotional intelligence and your well-being, the reason that I've done it for young kids is because I have an affinity for kids. Kids just come to me and they talk to me about absolutely anything. And that was what was missing in my life. So, oftentimes parents don't know how to talk. They don't know how to have that conversation with their kids, and it's so critical. And so what I'm trying to do with these books is what really all I did with my family. People would say, how come your kids are, they come to you, they talk to you about anything, and they still do to this day. And part of that is because books are a huge avenue to connect with your kids. So I did books just because I used to read to my kids every night. The books in and of themselves talk about situations, about the 5 core emotions that we all live with: anger, sadness, fear, hurt, and guilt. So I went through psychology, and I did quantum linguistics, and I did hypnotherapy, all of those things to help myself, but to also help my kids who were high performance athletes and who just were not understood. When you kind of stand out in this world, whether you're me or, my son in kindergarten who likes to wear pink pants and nail polish and whatever, we live in societies that can be very judgmental. And I didn't want that. I wanted people to have a way that they could work with their parents, and parents could work with their children to build up that routine of just, hey, it's okay to be angry. It's okay to be afraid. Let's talk about in different ways why you're angry or why you're afraid. Give them techniques in these books. So it's not just a story. In our Instagram, on our web pages, we have Wisdom Wednesdays where we have psychologists. So it's about building that education for parents and their children that it's okay to feel these emotions, and it's important to talk about them from a very young age, because that's where your cognitive, behavior, your self-esteem, your self-image starts.
I'm on your page, okay? I'm a daddy, I'm a granddaddy, and I want to go for what somebody might say is an adult thought when they're 2 years old. So I've always sort of believed in that mindset. So how do you take this thinking of the 4 emotional concepts that you said? I think it was a 4 or 5.
5.
I thought you said 5, but I could only remember 4. Say them again.
Okay, so I've studied psychology, and in your brain, right, you have 5 core emotions: anger, sadness, fear, hurt, and guilt, right from birth. And even as adults, we are 4 and 5-year-old children. So we wonder why, if our wife leaves the toothpaste lid off, why do we go bananas because our wife left the toothpaste lid off of the friggin' toothpaste? Or it could be the husband. And that's because it's the same for our kids. All of these different things that make us angry build up. I call them like a cup. Our cup runneth over. And so you keep getting angry, and your cup in your subconscious has not one incident, but hundreds of incidents that come across our plate. So that one is that little piece that tips the cup over and makes us blow our friggin' stack. And it's the same with children. So you have to figure out ways for anger, sadness, fear, hurt, and guilt to recognize them, right? Recognize what triggers that emotion. In Lucy's Lost Valentine, she gets very angry. And the reason that she's angry is you have to start to ask some questions. Well, why? We don't ask children or ourselves the questions. Okay, hold on a second. Why is this thought right at the instant that it's coming into our head and it's being triggered? why am I feeling this? And what's happening? Is my body getting hot? Am I getting tense? Am I getting angry? And then our actions are, as adults, we might yell at somebody, or, we might feel like tense up our muscles, whatever it is. As children, we might throw a temper tantrum or start crying or misbehave. There's all kinds of things. And this cycle keeps going and building. And what the techniques are is, in each case, each book helps you with lessons to reverse it. So when you get into that situation, how do you take, neuro-linguistic programming or different psychological techniques and reverse it? So that now that thought of, okay, hold on a second, nobody's going to like me. I wrote all these personal Valentines and I've left them at home, and Valentine's Day is going to be ruined, and all these things are going in your head. And in the book, through the teacher, because a lot of the times it's our teachers, our parents, our adult figures that help mentor and shape who we are and our ability to deal with emotions. So I used a teacher in this particular case to reverse that and help her through a technique of going outside, calming down, looking at different colors. The techniques are in the book, and feeling better and coming up with an alternate plan. But when you're in that state, you can't.
So a couple of thoughts and wonderment. That some people say when you're angry, you're blind.
Yes.
You're blind. And so, but also there's this thing about communications, since I got my 50 years in communications, it takes two, in essence, like they call it, two to tango. You have you, and me is quite upset at this moment. And I'm not thinking of, I'm quite upset at this moment because I'm just living, right? But I don't realize that I'm living right now with a lot of stress. This actually just happened to me today, first time like in 25 years, a long time, with the dear one. And the other person, though, it was because it's a two-way street, right? I got somebody that I'm dealing with on this. I'm not recognizing that I'm all stressed, and that the way I said, well, tell me, wasn't going to sit well. So then either the other person saves you, or you save yourself. So what happens when two people or two kids are ready to have sadly, I'm a peacenik. I do all world peace concerts, are ready to almost fight because in essence, they really both didn't understand each other. Or they understand where each of them were themselves. And then they weren't strong enough to figure out how to communicate. So you didn't get to another level. What is your thinking there?
So, no problem. Whether it's two children or whether it's adults, okay? If somebody has to intervene, so that's part of what these books are about. Is the authority figures have to know how. So a parent. So let's say I have my two children, because oftentimes I even have a situation now where they're 21, my 24-year-old son or my 29-year-old daughter, and they disagree on the various different pieces, or when they were children. I often go in, and I'll use myself as an example. I often make sure that I acknowledge the emotion. Oh, you both look really upset. Can we talk about why you're feeling upset, or what's going on in your body? Or can you tell me, what happened in this situation before you get to some of the emotions? So that I can put myself in it. There's all kinds of different techniques. Sometimes I use a diversion if it's really bad, right? I use a diversional tactic called TIP, where you do temperature, or you do intense exercise, or you do some pace breathing, or I'll just say, okay, stop, everybody stop. Like the other day, there was a tension, and we have a curling rink out there. So I said, hey guys, let's make snow face angels. So you know how you stick your whole face in the snow instead of your body? And they have no idea that I'm, diffusing the situation or the discussion by everybody all of a sudden smack. Oh, that sounds like fun. Let's do that.
Right? Don't mean to, but you're a teacher, or you're a referee, or you're a mediator, or you're a lawyer, or that's what happens to the two poor people, those two people who are hopeless, helpless, and don't know what to do. You're 22 and a 21. How do they themselves instantly figure out that things are not smooth at that moment. Unless I missed something, I might have, because somebody the phone rang. But did I miss something?
A little bit. So you learn how to do it. It's a learned behavior. So it's like see one, do one. So as an example, with my kids, they've grown up with me. They've grown up understanding that the conversation at a very young age for emotions is critical. And they understand that when they get into these situations, like my son now knows that when he's in a bad situation, he calls me. So that's his tactic. He doesn't know how to necessarily get out of it, but he knows that his way of reversing his negative emotions and thoughts and feelings and anger is to call mom, and mom will play a game with me and reverse it all back. So for themselves, I've taught them when he can't get me, as an example, right? Or a kid doesn't have me, or a child doesn't have me, or their parent or whatever. Then I give them a tip like, okay, if you're in that situation, one way to diffuse that situation is to breathe.
Yeah.
In one of the books, we talk about breathing. Okay. Nobody says anything. They just breathe. I was in the hospital with somebody and I taught the parents a trick because the kid was afraid and he was hyperventilating in the hospital. And I said, okay, I'm going to teach you this technique. I want you to find me. And we did the senses. I want you to find me 5 things that you see that are red, 4 things that you smell, 3 things that you taste in your mouth, 2 things that you can touch, and 1 thing that you hear right now. And what happens in your brain is as soon as you flick that switch to something else, it's not that it disappears, but when they're in a calmer state, that's the conversation that adult has to say, okay, you know what? It's okay to be angry. So affirm that it's okay. And then keep reinforcing with reading books and doing these activities when you see them getting upset. My kids really didn't get upset that much, but I did. And the only difference was I had to learn how to do these things, how to share these techniques. And that's why I have other professionals, other psychologists, child trauma psychologists who are coming in and giving advice. Just things like I've paid tens of thousands of dollars for therapists. And so what about, just to your point, what about those 2 kids, right, whose parents can't afford it and they're fighting? Through the books and through going on the websites, and the parents can then learn some things to teach their kids. Something as simple as routine. Every night, I made sure that when I was tucking my kids in, I always read to them. They were always fun books, so it's important to laugh every day. And, even if you have stresses, and it's important to have that routine. And I would say to them, and I still do today, what was the best part of your day? Even my workers, I say, tell me the best part of your day. And half the time they're like, oh, I don't know, Kathy. I say, well, I'm not getting off the phone until you tell me. And a lot of them used to have this, they'd coin this phrase, everybody needs a little Kathy Madigan in their life, especially when you have 150,000 employees in a large company. And I'd say, no, we don't need a little bit of Kathy Madigan. We need a lot of people out there who just stop and ask, how you doing? Out of real kindness and caring. Just tell me what was the best part of your day. And if you can't tell me, then let's sit here for a minute and you be mindful. Just close your eyes and, hear something or see a bird, or we're just, with COVID and everything else, a lot of it was just how the frig, Kathy, do you cope? And it's just sharing that coping mechanism. And then if I share it with 10 people, then 10 people will give me ideas of their own that I never thought of. And it's really building a different type of community.
I want to move in. You sold me. You sold me at the beginning, but now you closed the deal. I don't know. It's unbelievable. All right. It's a series. You have a website also? How does someone get the book and help themselves live a happier, healthier life with their children or with themselves?
Yes. Either way, so it's Slice of Emotion, sliceofomotion.com, all one word. You can go onto the website. If you go onto the website and order it, and you tell me a little bit about your child or yourself or whatever, I will autograph it for you and ship it off to you. And it will be available on Amazon at the end of the month. And just also the proceeds from my part of that book are going to help various different rescue situations from rescuing animals, as well as the Kids Helpful, to make sure that, you know, this isn't about money. This is about making the world a better place.
I love it. I love it. Peace. All right. You're fantastic, Kathy. Thank you so much for sharing.
Yes, thank you. Have a great day.
You as well. Bye-bye.
Okay, bye-bye.